I want to spend a minute or two talking about turmoil in 2025. And I'll begin this by saying that we are advertisers in our local weekly paper. It's called the Coast Star. It's a paper for the local communities in southern Monmouth County. If you're not a subscriber, you should really think about getting it because everybody wants to know everyone else's business. We run an ad in that paper every week for a long time. What got my attention this week was a letter to the editor, and it talked about all this turmoil that's going on in 2025. The person who wrote the letter said that a friend of his, who is retired, is so rattled by the drop in stocks that they've decided to, this friend has decided to start looking for work again. And then they continued that another friend postponed his final step into retirement because of the instability of the stock market. And then also added that another friend who suffers from anxiety and depression is worse off than ever before because of all this turmoil that's going on. We want to acknowledge that, the news has been newsworthy. But the bigger point is if the day-to-day market swings are rattling you or making you rethink retirement or postponing your retirement or thinking about going back to work, then you simply have too much money in the stock market, period. We've done many videos in the past where we talked about don't bet the rent. These are good examples of people who are deciding that they're going to try and make a little extra money when they really shouldn't be doing that. The proper allocation of money at risk versus money not at risk is really what's going to help you sleep at night. We really try and drive this point home with our clients. You need to have a proper balance between what's going to be at risk, what's long-term dollars versus short-term dollars. Now, there was an article on April 21st, just a couple of weeks ago, in the Wall Street Journal. The headline read that the Dow Jones is headed for its worst April since 1932. That was published on April 21st. When April ended, the Dow Jones was down less than 1%. It was down 0.9%. So these day-to-day changes in the market, even week-to-week changes, month-to-month changes in the market, these are terrible yardsticks for you to be using. We're not in the prediction business. We don't know what the markets are going to do this year or even from year to year, but a few numbers that you really should know. For nearly 100 years, markets have been up about 75% of the time. So what we mean by that is, on average, 3 out of 4 years, the markets are up. Now, up could be fractional. It could be really small, or it could be 20% gain. We don't know. But 3 out of 4 years, around 75% of the time, markets are up. You should also know another number. The long-term historical rate of inflation is 3%. Bonds are good. They're going to you should keep safe money there. It's no way to think about keeping up with inflation. The long-term historical average return for stocks, now we're talking 15 years and longer, falls between 9 and 10% per year, far ahead of inflation, far ahead of bonds. But it's important, as I mentioned earlier, to have that balance between money that's for the long term and money that's going to be needed in the next year, in the next 2 years, maybe for you, maybe even in the next 3 years. You need to find that balance that's going to really work for you. Yeah. I wonder if I can tack this on at the end. So we're being interrupted because the lawn guys are cutting the grass right outside of us, the office window. I'm going to give this guy like another 20 seconds and then all right, move on.